You good? All right. We're here at Jazz Live San Diego with Louis Hayes. Louis, welcome to Jazz Live San Diego and Jazz 88.3.
Thank you very much, Vince. It's a pleasure being here.
So, I wanted to chat a little bit about the show tonight that you're going to be playing. And we were just kind of talking about this. You're playing with some fantastic San Diego musicians, Gilbert Castellanos, Smikan Zlatkovic, and Rob Thorson. Folks that you hadn't played with before last night, I guess.
First time we met, first time we've seen each other was last night, and that's the first time we made music together. And it was very enjoyable.
That's got to be kind of a part of being a jazz musician, traveling around and playing with lots of different people.
Exactly right. It's a wonderful experience, meeting new people.
Right. Well, I wanted to talk about your 2010 release, Lose Idea. First I wanted to just talk a little bit about the title. What is Lose Idea? What was your idea?
Well, that's the title of a tune that I wrote, just something that I came up with in my head. The title of the CD is the Louis Hayes Jazz Communicators, which is a group that Freddie Hubbard and Joe Henderson and myself put together back in the 70s. But naturally they're on the other side, and I just decided to use that title again. What's that title again?
Mm-hmm. What the mix of tunes that you have on Lose Idea, were they tunes specifically put together for this disc or written, or where did you kind of pick those from? Well,
the first tune, like I said, is a tune that I wrote. Second tune on it was, I'm not looking at it now, so they might not be in order, but it's entitled Curtain Call, something Barry Harris composition, something we recorded in about 1960 on a trio album with Barry Harris, Sam Jones, and myself. So I always liked that tune very much, so I had this opportunity to record it again in a different way. So that was the second tune. And what was third? I'm not sure.
You don't have to do a whole recall, too.
Yes.
I'm kind of interested in, did you put these together?
Yeah, I put them together.
They were all. Were you thinking of a package of tunes, or were these just ones that kind of were ones that you hadn't done in a while and you wanted to revisit?
Well, I would say this more or less was a package, because I'd never played these tunes before. I recorded them.
Oh, okay.
Except that one composition by Barry Harris. But other things, I never recorded those before.
Oh, really? So does that that appeals to you to kind of to work on some things that you hadn't done before?
Yes, you have to keep moving, keep things fresh, new ideas. That makes things a little more interesting to play sometimes, and it's great for the people too to play things that they haven't heard before.
Well, I had read a little bit about the early Jazz Communicators and that group with Freddie and Joe that you had talked about. Why was it time to kind of bring that out? What was the original concept behind the Jazz Communicators, and or was it just a name for your group?
Well, that takes a little storytelling to see how that went together. If we have time, my brother and myself were walking down Broadway one day, and I saw this club. So I went in, and I said to the person in charge, I said, I would like to bring a group in for the whole summer. So he asked me, he said, well, who's in the group? I said, well, Freddie Hubbard, Joe Henderson, Kenny Barron, and at the time, Herbie Lewis was the bassist. So he says, well, you have it. So we brought the group in, and Freddie named the group the Jazz Communicators. So that's how that name came about.
And so it was just kind of a name to name this configuration. There wasn't anything that you were trying to get to specifically with that.
No.
So then, did you bring the name back for this ensemble, kind of in honor of Freddie, or
no? I just brought it back because I like the name, and it's a name that I can use for later projects that I'm going to do, and I don't have to think of a new name. It's just the Louis Hayes Jazz Communicators.
Excellent. And this is a little different configuration with Steve Nelson on vibes.
Exactly,
I think in place of Freddie, the trumpeter.
It's not in place.
Well, I know you can't replace him, but it's a
yes.
little bit different ensemble.
There you go.
That kind of explains it if it's just kind of a name for a group of musicians that you're playing with.
Exactly right, Vince.
So then, what are the kind of the things that you want to do with the Jazz Communicators going forward? Is it continuing with this group of musicians, or is it kind of mixing things up there?
Well, in New York and other guys, we all have our own separate projects that we do, and traveling. And Margaret Miller, he has a trio, he does his things, and then we come together in different situations, and we'll do this. So it just works like that. It's nothing that is going to happen, a permanent thing, but we will always do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, then I wanted to go back just a little bit and talk about. I was reading, some of the stuff in preparation, and I've been playing your records here for a long time, and it today kind of came to me that you, at 18, when you started playing with Horace Silver, that it seemed like you were at a spot, and not just you, but jazz was at a spot where bebop was on its kind of on its way down or out, not as popular, but jazz kind of went in an artistic or a more artist-centric versus a more audience-centric way, and you were in that playing with Horace and then with Cannonball in that hard bop, soul jazz, funk jazz, funky jazz kind of thing, in that vein. Did you, when you started playing, and you took the seat of Art Blakey or with in Horace's band, right?
Well, you made things a way that I never thought about it in those terms. I mean, the way I thought about it was Art Blakey, the Jazz Messengers, they had that group, and Doug Watkins was the bassist in the group at the time, and he was from Detroit, and I was from Detroit, and we met in Detroit when he came home for some reason. And when Horace, they set the group disbanded, and Horace started his own quintet, Doug Watkins said to Horace, "Get the baby boy out of Detroit." So the music that we were playing, I never tried to analyze it. We just was good music, and we were just having a marvelous time. And I was so happy to be, I was 19, I just turned 19, and I was so happy to be out of Detroit and playing with Horace Silver and all these magnificent musicians and meeting these magnificent people. And so that was just a marvelous time for me.
Mm-hmm. Any pressure playing with Horace, since he had been and maybe kind of still was playing with Art in the Jazz Messengers?
No, Horace, we got along very well, and he gave me an opportunity actually to grow. And those 5 recording dates, his first 5 recording dates that I did, I can hear my growth. How I performed and over those about 3.5 years. And also during that time, I met so many great musicians during that time, and had opportunity to record with so many other people there in New York at that particular time.
Right.
Before joining Cannon.
Right. Yeah, and then when you then you joined Cannon after the Horace Silver, and we're on kind of one of those seminal recordings, the Cannonball Adderly quartet or quintet live in San Francisco, which is talked about as the first soul jazz album. Tell us a little bit about when you just got with Cannonball. Was it a different feel from when you were with Horace? Was he looking for something different?
He wasn't looking for anything. I don't know what he was looking for, because he never expressed himself like that to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was different for me, because it was different personnel, and playing with Horace Silver, he was the leader of the group, and his how he played was so much different than when I went with Cannonball. But Sam Jones and myself, we had such a wonderful feeling together that it just overcame all of the different obstacles that I might have had. Sam, we became such a rhythm team that we had opportunity to make recording dates with a lot of other wonderful artists because of the Sam Jones and Louis Hayes feeling that we had.
Right.
And Cannon and Nat, and first Bobby Timmons, and then the piano chair, it changed several times till it got to Joe Zawinul, who was there permanently. But that was a real family-orientated group. So I was there from 59 to 65, and that was a marvelous time.
Yeah, that was it seemed like a very special relationship that you picked up with Sam Jones there,
Yes.
the bassist, and
Yes.
you guys went on to do a lot of work together.
Yes, after that, I mean, we recorded with a lot of other people, but next job next we went with Oscar Peterson together.
Hmm. So you also, looking at your discography around that same time, were also playing with other artists like Coltrane, and you did some work with Cecil Taylor and some of that. Did you feel like you were getting kind of a well-rounded taste of what was going on in jazz at that time?
Well, this wasn't planned. It's just something that happened. And where I was living at the time in Manhattan, Coltrane was about 3 blocks away, and all these magnificent people were just in the general area. And recording dates were we were doing these things, so I'm glad I had this opportunity to make that history at that particular time, like 57, 58.
Right.